Looks like she's still an attendee,
Yeah,
Frank.
it
And then
said that she
also
was.
Lisa, Lisa just came in as an attendee. So Frank, if you're able to
Yeah.
promote Lisa.
No. All right, Pam, I'm gonna try this again. I look like you were promoted, but okay. I think they're both with us as panelists now.
Yeah, we have Pam.
I'm just going to watch and learn. Thank you.
Okay, welcome.
Thank you.
All right, moving on to meeting minutes. We have a set from November 4th. I don't know if anyone's had a chance to look at them. I think they went out Friday.
I did. I thought they looked good.
Okay,
I'm happy to make a motion to approve the minutes that Don distributed. If there's a second.
I'll second that.
thank you, Brendan. All right, we'll do a roll call. Frank?
Hi.
Right. Lisa? She,
Yes. Sorry,
okay.
I couldn't click the thing. Sorry.
That's right.
Yes.
I don't see Todd on yet, right? No. Okay, Geetha?
Yes.
All right. John?
Yes.
Colleen?
Yes.
Chris, I do not see Mark. All right. Richard?
Yes.
Don?
Yes.
And Emily?
Yes.
Okay, great. Thank you. Moving on to Lynch, and we'll turn it over to Andy for his presentation.
All right, thank you. Thank you. So let me share my screen. All right. So just want to give a quick update on construction for the month of November. Stuff were completed. So we finished the last pour at the deck at the gym on the slab. So we pour that on November 2nd. So that's the last piece that we'll pour. We completed the binder paving at South Parking Lot. That was completed last Tuesday, before Thanksgiving. And the MEP rough work and inspection was done on level 3. So that was also completed. We started the installation and also start a portion of the drywall on the 3rd floor. Door frame is substantially completed throughout the building. As I mentioned earlier, sheetrock is completed on the 3rd floor B area. There's no A area up there because of the high gym and the cafeteria. So we're working toward B right now. Installation, we continue doing installation on the 3rd floor area C. Interior framing continue on the 1st floor. HVAC rooftop unit, as I mentioned earlier, was delivered on Tuesday of last week, and they continue with the tie-in right now. Switchgear would deliver on site. That was, secondary wiring is also completed. We turn on the temporary heating because we don't have the window yet, so we're having temporary heating. All the window opening were, temporary protected. Next MSBA update is on January 16, 2025. The work for December 2024, this month, we're planning to test the mock-up, the window and the curtain wall. So right now we're just waiting for the caulking to be done at the curtain wall, so we can get the testing done, and that's being done by the contractor. They own that. Exterior framing, sheathing, and AVB, that's our target, is to finish that in December. MEP roughing and inspection on the 3rd floor, that is probably in a week or 2 away. We're planning to finish that and then do the installation and drywall on the second floor. And then in December, we try to finish all the sheetrock on the third floor, and then start on the second floor and try to finish area B on the second floor. Interior framing, we have a lot of, like, I would say right by now, we're about 95% interior framing completion. Just a little bit left, about 5% left on the first floor. And the last portion of the roof, like we have a few lower roof, like at the, on the lower portion of the roof, we try to finish that in December as well. The switchgear electrical work, we try to finish the tying in all the electrical work, targeting for December. And same thing with the RTU, they were delivered last week, so we need to do the final installation in December. Also, like finish the roofing for the curbs below the RTU, and then doing the tile in the third floor bathroom. January, let me see. So in January, we anticipate to get the delivery. I know they were trying to get it at the end of this month, but due to the holiday, I think they were targeting around the first week of January. Same thing with casework. GC will have the temperature control in there just to make sure they have heating and humidity control for any casework delivery. So targeting for that in the beginning of the year, and try to finish at least all the MEP rough on the first and the second floor, and then targeting to finish the drywall on the second floor, going in, and then head down to the first floor. And then they'll be doing like finishing work January, February timeline. All right, so we finished the paving last week, just the binder course around the south parking lot, around the perimeter, just so that way we don't, we can deal with the snow in the winter. Brickwork, we continue to work on the north side. For this area is the gym, working toward this way, clockwise around the building. I think we made a lot of progress. They're going to do the higher portion now as part of the north side, and then doing the east side of the building, and then toward the south side of the building. That's the direction that they're heading with the brick. Interior framing, we'll continue about, we're getting very close on the interior framing. We just have a little bit left on the first floor. This is the insulation, the bat insulation that were completed on the third floor, and we already put the sheetrock on the area C on the third floor. So here's the drywall that were completed in third floor, but we're working toward B right now. I'm sorry, we just finished B3. This is the area that's finished. So we're working toward C. Level 2 rough, MEP rough, it's almost fully complete. I mean, we said nearly completion here on the second floor. So we're targeting to get rough inspection probably next week. And then we'll do the installation after that. So this is the look from the looking at from the north. So this is the south side of the building looking north. All the opening are enclosed with temporary enclosure, and we have the temporary heating on. So we have a little bit of the AVB left here. I think this was completed last week. This picture was taken last week, but this area is all done. So I would say we're like 99% done with the AVB. Another picture looking south on the north side, the gym, more of like showing the brickwork. So going into the dashboard, I just want to quickly go over like the key milestone dates here. Let me zoom in a little bit. So rooftop unit were delivered last week. Electrical switchgear were delivered as well. The window and curtain wall, I mentioned, we're targeting for the first week of January. Same thing with casework, January. Generator and the automatic temperature, the ATS unit, the automatic temperature sensor. The will be
Transfer
shipped.
switch.
I'm sorry, transfer switch. Thank you, Jay. Will be shipped the end of February, so that's our target. Phenolic and metal, that's the materials available and will be delivered in February. Lighting will be the end of this year, so at the end of December. Pedestrian bridge, we're still targeting for spring 2025 for summer installation. That's still on target. Cash flow, we're very close. We're right on. We were last month. We were a little bit behind because of the curtain wall and the window got pushed into January. But with the revised cash flow from Break Builder, we updated that, and so we're very close. Contingency, we still have about $5.9 million in construction contingency and about $291,000 in the soft cost bonus contingency. So we still have, at the end of the day, $6.2 million in contingency. So next I have change order 6 that I want to present today. A big portion of that is the landscape package that was approved at the last meeting. The EFPBC voted to approve that and put it on change order 6. So this landscape package, Chris Shockey did a presentation last month, beginning of November, that showed the change. So I'm not going to go into any more detail on that since it got approved last month. Irrigation power. So the irrigation power is required, but was not included in the electrical document. It was missed. This cost us for adding the dedicated circuits and the pull string for the control cabling. So this was discovered, so that we need to add that. Excuse me. Solar footing and sewer line conflict. So on the south side of the solar footing, there's a conflict there that the sewer line, they were like conflicted to each other. This was, this was caught, and they need to put the footing deeper. So they need to put it like 4.5 feet deeper into the ground. So that way the sewer line can be on top of the footing. So this is the cost for $7,205. This is to excavate for the additional excavation work to move the footing, to lower the footing for reinforcing within the taller concrete solar pier. PCO 40 is for additional roof insulation per RFI 206. So this is to add additional insulation at the roof height. This is for better blocking to make the roof for the sloping, so for better with the gutter. So this is additional roof insulation for $12,161.86. So PCO 41, this is for the steam case work and electrical changes. This is, at the FF&E meeting, programming meeting, it was requested by the school to, excuse me, to change the countertop in the STEAM classroom to epoxy. It was requested to add, additional electrical outlet within one of the tall storage cabinet, along with the louver on the door to create lockable equipment charging station. This is for $4,147.63. PCO 52 continuous strap anchor per RFI 172. So this is for during the window shop drawing review, the the coordination meeting, it was discovered that the anchoring of the window was provided by intermittent strap, which do not allow for continuous tying of the window into the AVB. So a continuous anchor would be provided around the window perimeter to provide a surface to adhere the AVB transition strip into the window frame. So this was discovered during the coordination and is required for this enclosure. PCL 54, this is the door hardware change at the IDF in the office. So this was missed. So the intent there for these two door frame was to have card reader, but the hardware and the door frame were not specified to be electrified configuration. So this PCO is for the new hardware and remaking of the frame. As this discrepancy was not discovered until the original door frame was on site. So they found out they need the additional hardware. So this is to add the hardware to make it work for the card reader for $3,827.75. So the total change order 6 is $260,189.68, and a big portion of that is the landscape change that was approved last month.
Andy, can you just hit the highlights of that landscape change? We know it included some field issues. Just hit the, there's a lot rolled up in that. If you could summarize those, that'd be good.
Like going back months, in other words.
Right. Just the
Yeah.
key items that are in there. It's not just
Okay.
trees and, we have the, over by the neighbors area, the fence line, there's just a lot of stuff. We probably didn't do the right thing in letting it build up to one giant number, but it is a big number. So I think if we could refresh everyone, that'd be great.
Yep, I'll do a basic one, but Chris Shockey, if you want to add in anything, feel free to. So this PCO is for the revision and additional component for the landscape package that were not included in the base contract. So this change include like the fencing, the planting, fire lane adjustment, improved field access, playground, outdoor classroom area revision. We made multiple changes to the landscape in the beginning of the project as well.
The slab for the porta potty area, right, is in this?
Yes, the fencing and the
Yep.
yes, exactly, the slab for the porta potty and the fencing there as well. So we have the presentation from last month on the Google Drive if you need it.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah, Chris Shockey, is there anything you want to add to that?
The only thing I would add is that the biggest component to that is the playground changes. So that's just kind of the costliest piece to that. And so that's kind of, I think, why that number is so large all at once. But other than that, I think all of the other things you hit on were in that PCO.
Yeah,
Yeah,
last
has-
and
Emily
on
has
top
a
of that,
question.
last month we asked for approval so that way we could release the playground equipment because that takes like about 16 weeks for fabrication. So
Emily, you have a question?
Andy just answered it. I just am seeing that we're
Okay.
still changing playground equipment and I was worried about the lead time,
Right, okay, thank you.
but it sounds like we'll still make that.
yes,
And then a kind of tiny nitpicky question. The cedar fence, is that going to be finished or is it just going to be left cedar? I just didn't see anything in the change order for painting it or staining it or anything like that. So I was just curious how that's going to be left.
do you have that answer, Chris Shockey?
That's a good question. Let me loop back with our landscape folks to see if they had an idea on that. I didn't even think about it, so I appreciate that question.
Richard, you have a question?
Yeah, Jay. Andy, does this go back to the original, when the site was cleared, there was a section of eastern pines that were cleared from the neighbors out that was slightly outside the original scope of work? Is that
No, that was
landscaping to that area?
that was done early on with a different PCO to remove the tree. Yes, that was done in a different PCO that was approved a while ago.
Oh, okay, that's not part of this package.
This is new one. Excuse me.
Geetha?
Yeah, I
Question?
just have a comment, I guess that, but instead of saying landscape package, if we just say landscape and play area or something to that effect, maybe it will answer the question why the dollar amount was high anyway.
Chris?
Yeah, so I just to follow on though with Rich's question, my understanding is, so there were the pines that came down on the Pond Street side very early. My understanding is Warner Larson, though, going back on site, found some additional pines on the other side of the site, closer to Horn Pond Brook, and those may be the ones that Richard's asking about. There was another series of pines that I thought were identified that needed to come down, just given their age and how exposed they were. Is that included in this or not?
No,
I
that was
believe
the,
that was in the earlier one.
yeah. What
Okay,
Meg said.
even though they didn't come down when the first
Correct.
round did, they came down much later, right? That those are
Yep.
not accounted for in this change order.
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
Anyone else? Meg, this is included on your manager's letter, right?
Yes.
Yeah, so we'll hit it
Yep.
then. Okay. Awesome. All right,
Hey,
moving on.
I do have a couple of other questions for Andy, not related to this change order though, so I can sit on those if we want to wait till Andy's done.
It's up to you. You want to?
So can I just ask Andy, when you talking about drywall going in and tile going in the bathrooms, is Tom keeping a watchful eye on the installation of blocking location for grab bars and ADA accessories that are going to go in once those finishes are up?
Yes, we have both Tom and Mark on site looking at, blocking, looking at, coordination work, sequence work. So yes, they're all very.
Okay. And then just because it's been 2 or 3 meetings, so I need to get back on the horse and start asking about the mock-up. Just noting when the phenolic panel and the metal panel is coming, how far that's getting pushed out. Obviously glass is showing up much later than we had wanted. Just looking to be sure that the building does not become the mock-up for the mock-up. Are we going to get phenolic panel, metal panel early for the mock-up, or are we sort of stuck on the deliveries to the site to get everything actually installed in the mock-up, not just for aesthetics, but the technical review as well?
That's what we're pushing for, is getting the mock-up early, installed before February. That's the whole purpose of the mock-up, is to make sure everything is installed and approved, and make sure there's no, leak. That's why we're doing the testing and stuff, to make sure there's no leak. And then we also have the commissioning agent and the architects looking at the mock-up to make sure it's being installed according to the plan and spec. It's also required by the MSBA as well to look into, the mock-up.
It would just be helpful if you could give us a heads up when obviously you can't do your pressure and water tests until it's built. It would just be helpful to know once you're able to kind of pin that down, Andy and Chris.
Yep.
I for one kind of want to be there. I want to watch that test and see the results. There's just a lot of things that have to fall into place first, obviously.
Yes, it's one of the topic that we have on the minutes that we talked about every week. We're pushing real hard for that, and so we still have like caulking at the curtain wall, and also the phenolic that we're pushing. They don't have a date for the mock-up or for the phenolic yet. We're
Thank you,
pushing
Andy.
hard for it. Yep.
Thank you.
Emily, did you still have a question?
Chris mentioned blocking and remembering the locations, and I just quickly thought, or was wondering if Andy knew if the construction team was using like open space or something like that to capture the site every
We did a
once in a
change
while.
order for that, the last meeting.
Yeah.
And Meg already has them on their way, right, Meg? Yep.
Yeah, they already did the third floor. And they'll do the second and first prior to the drywall going up, once everything's in and they're ready.
Pauline?
Great. Just had a couple quick questions on construction IQ. So normally we wouldn't be having a lot of absorptive materials on site stored without having the windows in. So I'm just making sure. I saw a couple of the pictures where some of the insulation was on the floor. We want to just, and it's something I can reiterate to the team. We want to make sure that that's up on pallets and that anything that's absorptive is away from the window wall. I know that there's plastic up, but we just want to make sure we're not causing any, moisture issues down the road.
Good
No,
point.
thank you, Colleen.
Anything else, Randy? All right, so the next item I asked Andy to put together, something was forwarded to me on social media. Someone's spilled out about us doing the solar and not getting the best price or doing it the wrong way or whatever. Just an uninformed resident, I guess. So I asked Andy to take some time and go back and do a recap of what we did. Not only, the prices were right and stuff, but we just did the right thing by getting it in as part of the contractor for warranty issues. We don't want to go tearing up this driveway and parking areas and try to put those, anyone that's looked at the pictures of what's involved in these canopies and everything else, it's not something you can really do later on, even though one of these other vendors was saying they come in and do it all the time. And then another comment before Andy starts is, we really have a nice looking canopy system going in. It's not like you see in some of these other towns, just an erector set going up to get the low budget. So Andy put some numbers together. So if you want to run them over, Andy, just to remind everyone of what we did. Thank you.
Yeah, so during the design, we have the solar consultant and the owner and the sustainability group looking at the solar together. We look at different options. We look at the way, bidding, we look at estimating. We brought in AM Fogarty at the 90% construction document to do a cost estimate just to see, where we are with, for the conduit, the solar panels, roof, the roof rail is also as part of the bid alternate that we bid it out for the canopy as well. So at the time, the estimate was about $3,627,334. So we decided to bid them out at in four alternate for bid alternate to see, if the we have good bids, then we'll accept them because budget wise. So we went out to bid. We bid it under Mass General Law, Chapter 149, to have the package. Most of the solar package here is being owned by the electrical file sub bidder, and the bid, they came in with the alternate at $2,481,500. So the bid saving, it's a little bit over $1.1 million saving. Just want to share that this is we got great bid result. Griffin Electrical is the subcontractor that owned the solar, and then we have the GC owning the canopy, the structure itself, as you saw. We already built that, and the conduit underground. So the benefit of bidding it out to the GC, having it under their subs, so that way a lot of the coordination work can be done. And a lot of time where if you have a different vendor coming in to do the solar or the canopy, then there's going to be conflict with the insurance. A lot of time the GC doesn't want them to touch the roof, start installing solar until we have the roof 100% inspected and we have the warranty in hand. And a lot of time we don't have that until at least like July. So doing it with the GC and the subcontractor under Mass General Law 149, we can coordinate all of this work together. As Jay mentioned, you can do the conduit, underground conduit now. It's already, most of the work is already done on site. I think we got the great bid result. We got all the warranty in place. There's no insurance conflict. There's no warranty issue with the roofing. If it's done by the GC, then they own everything. There's no schedule conflict. You can't get another vendor in while Bright Builder's doing the work. So you save a lot of time on the scheduling. And then the biggest risk is like the coordination, you know, like you may miss something and then, you know, you may have to come back and dig out or rip the parking apart. So yeah, I think, you know, this is a great bidding price. I think this team is, you know, including the owner, have done a lot of background, and you know, we bid it the way we are, and with the great bid saving, we don't have to deal with any headache down the road, and also we don't have to deal with any labor law. Right now we're doing it under prevailing wages with the electrician. Yeah, I just want to address that public comment with this.
Thank you. Thank you, Andy. Any questions? Chris, go right ahead.
Yeah, I just to tack on to that, the direct assertion that was made on social media was that we cost ourselves hundreds of thousands of dollars for a lesser product with a lesser warranty. And I just wanted to offer that, in other words, by not going like with some pre-approved Massachusetts contractor list. If you're going to go with a pre-approved contractor, that's an owner-contractor relationship. That's not an owner-agent relationship. When we hire architects and engineers, that's an owner-agent relationship. We're paying our architects and engineers for their time and their counsel and their advice. That includes Zapotec, who was very widely respected, you know, engineer with expertise in this field of design. Some of us on this committee, you know, Colleen, Meg, you know, Todd Kosterman, others, you know, spent many hours with these folks, along with TAPE architects, reviewing their suggestions and their proposals. The point being that, you know, with a Zapotec or any other engineer that you're going to hire, you're getting their advice and their expertise, and they're making suggestions based on what's in the best interest of the project, which in my experience is really what gets you the best value. So I'm not sure where those assertions came from. For the record, I disagree with them. Really happy with the service that we got, and I'm thrilled that we have the support of select board and town meeting to be where we are. That's it.
Thank you. Any other questions? All right, I guess if the Hill team wants to get off, you can. We're going to move on to the high school, which is, you know, we're getting 2 meetings into this one. So it's up to you if you want to hang around. We're going to move on to the town meeting adjournment and recap. And Chris, you want to have a few comments for us to start that off? Turn over to Meg.
Yeah, Meg's going to really kind of walk us through this. I just a couple of overarching comments, because we met very briefly last meeting right before town meeting with just barely a quorum of the committee. So for those who didn't hear, we were really appreciative that town meeting, I think it was night number 2, we got unanimous consent on both the Winchester High School concrete repair remediation project. That was, remind everybody, we're seeking $845,000. That's to move forward on the surface applied corrosion inhibitor down below, as well as some funding for SGH that Meg will talk about in a minute to kind of advance the design work for the top side. So we got funding in terms of construction. It's not really construction, it's surface applied corrosion inhibitor, but we got funding to do the work down below. We don't yet have the funding to do the top side work. That's going to require some modest demolition. We told town meeting we'd be coming back in the spring for that money, and we told them that could be anywhere between, you know, $200,000 or $300,000 or more. Kind of depends upon what money is left, and if the timing works out that we can even count on those remaining dollars for the surface applied corrosion inhibitor. But very strong support. Few town meeting members gave a microphone and voice support for the project. And then secondly, on the gym project, we also got unanimous support, which was terrific. I just in particular want to give a shout out we had 2 student athletes. We had a sophomore and a junior members of the girls varsity volleyball team came to the mic and in a very eloquent way talked about the shortcomings of that space and what it means to them and their peers, and they were absolutely terrific. And we had that opportunity as well to thank the Sports Foundation and the Winchester Basketball Association, who together raised or donated $75,000 towards the project. So good news on both. I'll talk about the letter in a minute when we get to the gym, but I just wanted to thank the EFPBC, you know, for their support of these projects, and especially town meeting. Unanimous support is a big deal. So thanks to everybody. That's it.
Okay, Meg, you want to run us through it?
So, so the next step is to meet with SG&H to develop a bid schedule and, get them under contract to complete the bid package for the crawl space work as well as the topside work. So I have a meeting with them on Friday, so we'll, start talking about that. We're gonna, target summer work for the crawl space work. And we'll know more as the spring goes on about the schedule for the topside work. And as Chris alluded to, we'll have a better idea of how much of this funding that we just received, how much we might have left over for the topside work. For the gym project, we have awarded the contract to Cardosi, and I have a meeting with them tomorrow set up. It's a pre-construction meeting, so we'll start to talk with them about timing, logistics, the school department, and obviously the high school staff is involved in all of these meetings. We're gonna, the contract's been awarded. The contractor will have access to the site starting March 3rd of 25. So between now and then, we'll, review and approve shop drawings, get materials ordered, work out the logistics for access to the gymnasium space. But no actual physical work will start until March 3rd. And that's really it. We'll keep you posted.
Hey, any questions for?
Meg, I just have one for you on the surface applied corrosion inhibitor. Is that maybe coming from Dennis or the team at the high school that they just rather see that work happen in the summer, even though it's in the crawl space? I mean, we did say to town meeting, theoretically it could
We're
happen.
it's more about, it's actually coming from the school. Yeah, they want to make sure there's not too many contractors on site on any given time. So if the work's going to be starting at the same time the gym is,
Yeah.
how many trucks are going to need space in the parking lot, etc. So we just have to know a little bit more from the high school gym contractor, what his needs are, before we make a decision about the other project.
Okay.
So we'll know more soon. We're going to have this meeting tomorrow, and then tomorrow we'll schedule a site meeting so we can look at, the actual site, lay down area, logistics like that, where they need to park, where they can come in, come out, what time, what their schedule, will allow, what we're going to allow them, access. So once we have those couple meetings, by mid-January, we should be able to know if we can do the crawl space work in the spring.
Okay. I may have I thought I had heard you say the crawl space work would happen in the summer, but I may have misheard you. So.
No, that's probably when it will happen, but if it can happen sooner, then
Okay.
we'll target. Yeah.
Got it.
Yeah.
Etha, question?
Yeah, I just have a quick, I guess the high school gym project with the contractor, the duration set, Meg, goes because of the coordination, it's going to be evaluated.
Well, they get access March 3rd, and they'll need to be out of there by middle of July. Most likely they'll be out of there sooner, but prior to the fall sports season starting, which starts in August.
Okay.
Any other questions for Meg? Nope. Okay. Thank you, Meg.
You're welcome.
Hey,
Let's do payments.
The last thing we had here for the letter, we just wanted to ask if we don't really need a vote, just consensus from the committee. We'd like to send a letter from the committee to the Winchester Basketball Association and the Sports Foundation to actually thank them for their donation on the project. I'm assuming the committee is okay with that. We haven't done that yet. Just want to thank them for their support.
That's something you'll take care of, Chris?
I'll draft it and you can sign it.
Thanks.
How about that?
Okay.
How's that for working together?
That works great. All right. Minutes letter. So we can get on to the payment then. If you want to bring that up, manager's letter.
Do you have it, Chris, or do I have I don't have it handy.
I'll go find it. Just
Okay, there's only 3 items on it.
Talk amongst yourselves. I gotta go find it.
Yeah,
I know it
so,
came in, sorry.
under the Lynch School is the Bright Builders application number 12 for $4,471,598.38. Under the spending authorization for the Lynch is the Bright Builders change order number 6. $260,189.68. And then under the high school project, this is a approval to award the contract to JJ Cardosi in the amount of $2,740,000.
And Meg, just for that, Jay, can I ask Meg to clarify? So
Sure.
for that amount, so that's inclusive of that alternate one, that was the supplemental power over the main gym for the warden tables for voting, right?
Yes, correct.
I'm happy to make a motion if nobody else wants to do it. We approve the payment authorizations to Bright Builders in the amount of $4,471,598.38 as presented, and spending authorizations to Bright for change order 6 for $260,189.68 as presented. And for the Winchester High School, approve the spending authorization to JJ Cardosi for the high school gym contract, $2,740,000 as presented.
I'll second that.
All right, we get a roll call. Frank,
Aye.
Lisa,
Yes.
Todd,
Aye.
Geetha, John,
Yes.
Colleen,
Yes.
Mark. Okay, Richard,
Yes.
Don,
Yes.
and Emily.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Moving on, update on the master plan from Chris.
So I'll be quick on this. As you guys know, town meeting approved last spring our request to fund the master plan, and we had talked about breaking that into 2 phases. The first phase, if we were able to get them on board, which happily we were, was to work with an enrollment projection consultant and a demographer. So that's the UMass Donahue Institute. You guys have previously approved the payment authorization for that work. So just want to share with you guys, their team actually was on site last week on Thursday, November 21st. They had a quick tour of the town, saw all of our school sites. One member of the team is familiar with Winchester, having worked on it before. There's a new member kind of need to be brought up to speed. And they came down to the Lincoln School, had hours-long meeting and work session with representatives from, I'll go down the list, school committee, Dr. Hackett was there. Our town planner was there, Taylor Herman. We had a couple of representatives from the planning board. Our director of finance and operations, Andrew Marin, was there as well. We have a FinCon rep who wears 2 hats. That's Rich Rohan. Glad Rich could be there. And so it was, and some of the representatives also have participated in the development of the new housing production plan. So we reviewed kind of 4 buckets of information. We discussed what's going on, what has been going on in Winchester since 2017 in the areas of planning and zoning. That includes the new North Main zoning that was just approved by town meeting, feels like 2 weeks ago. We reviewed that overlay with the MBTA Communities Act, the 3A overlay as well. So that was interesting. We talked about specific housing and development in town, including multi-unit housing. We've reviewed what's going on at River Street and Cambridge, both in terms of how quickly they're leasing up and the kind of enrollment that we're seeing from those projects. I'll just share with you guys as an aside that Frank and Andrew on their end, they track enrollment at River Street and Cambridge. We've been getting information from the leasing agent about their progress as the number of available units continues to dwindle. We had actually projected using kind of we came up with an enrollment projection methodology in the master plan in 2017 that we applied to River Street when we realized it was going to happen. River Street was not even on the boards in 2017. It came later. We projected at the time between 85 and 95 students, K-12, would come out of River Street. And And we also projected like between 25 and 30 elementary students, I believe it was. So based on the current enrollment at River Street and how far they are in their leasing activity, it looks like we're going to get at least 90 students. So that's literally right there in the sweet spot. We said between 85 and 95. It looks like we're going to get 90. We are likely to get more elementary students than we projected. That's offset a little bit by fewer students, grades 6 through 12. But of course, the younger kids are just, they're in the pipeline longer. They eventually get to McCall, they eventually get to the high school. So, and we're looking at a more granular level at all the different kind of multi-unit projects. And not tonight, but at a future date, well, we will have a presentation from UMass, probably maybe set up a joint meeting with the EFPBC and school committee. I also just want to give a shout out to Dan McGurl, the town assessor. He's got a great data for us. He shared with us in the past. He tracks the number of housing units that we have in Winchester. That's really important because then we can measure, based on our enrollment trends, how many students we have per housing unit. And then when we look at large multi-unit developments and we see how those compare, we get a greater sort of confidence in talking about what future developments might look like. So for instance, Washington and Swanton Street, which the town took by eminent domain, 7 years ago, Rich? Something like that. Looking at Richard because he's on my screen. Others may know it was a while ago. That is planned as 60 units, a multi-use, meaning some residential, some commercial, but 60 units at Washington and Swanton Street. And then we have Converse Place, we have Vine Street. So I think we've got a greater and greater confidence talking about what we think the impact is going to be on enrollment. Anyway, this is all kind of part of the phase 1 work. It's very much ongoing. We're hoping to have a deliverable from UMass by the end of December. And that information will be certainly important to the school committee and Dr. Hackett as we think about obviously budget planning next year and the out years. But it's going to be hugely important as we try to think about just how big a new Morocco needs to be, right? So how many kids do we think we're going to have? And it gives us a chance to see what the enrollment looks like at the new Lynch, what kind of capacity there. Do we still need to sort of let absorb students? That may lead to a conversation around redistricting at some point. I'm saying more here than I thought I would, Jay, but the other thing that I know Frank is supportive of bringing to the school committee is we will have, I think, hopefully soon, a conversation about any operational changes that we may even wish to consider that might have an impact on space. If we're going to make operational changes, we need to have that conversation so we can communicate that back to the master plan team. So I look forward to having those conversations soon. And that was actually kind of the point we ended it on. We talked about enrollment. Frank gave an update on our enrollment trends, talked a bit about programming. And then Jay had a great idea, which was see if the Jenks will let us use their van, their bus. So they did. So the Council on Aging gave us the big bus with like 14 seats and a driver. And we got to drive around town so they could see some of the areas that we had talked about. Our town planner was terrific. He gave them a very detailed presentation of what's going on North Main and where the potential for development lies there as well. And then we just kind of got to drive around and look at certain sites that they were interested in, and really in all corners of town. So it was a really good and productive day. They told us they've already finished all their kind of macro work. They finished that up a couple of weeks ago, and they're just kind of focused now on what's happening specifically in Winchester and trying to kind of knit those things together. So we should have something really interesting to share end of December, early January. And the only other thing that came up out of the meeting is, I believe, and there were others on this call right now who are at that meeting. So I'm going to put either Richard on the spot or Frank, because I can't remember the exact date. The new housing production plan for Winchester is going to be presented as a final draft to the planning board and the select board for a vote to approve. That is coming soon, maybe even next week. I thought, Richard, wasn't it like the 6th or 8th or 9th or something like
I
that?
believe it's the 16th is when they're.
16th, thank you.
Yeah.
I knew it had a 6 in it. So that'll be interesting for any members who care to read it. That just kind of sets forward our aspirations around housing development. But, if you accept the fact that with new housing comes kids, that all has a trickle-down effect on the schools. So that was really kind of my spiel on the UMass site visit. And then the only other bullet here is MSBA 2025 school survey. I'm looking to see, I don't know if Frank, is Andrew with us on this call tonight? Not sure I see him. Andrew Marin is our Director
He's
of
not,
Finance
no.
Operations. Okay, so what I want to share with you guys, and Frank, please fill in any blanks here. Every few years, the MSBA conducts a statewide survey of school facilities, meaning actively occupied school facilities. So they wouldn't be interested in Parkhurst. They're not interested in Mystic, but they do this statewide. They've selected STV to do this latest round. They were familiar to some of us. They actually did the last survey a few years ago. And as luck would have it, Winchester is very high on the list. So they're kicking off this exercise with visits to Winchester. Frank, I believe they've already been out to a number of our schools. Is that right?
Yes, yep.
Yeah, so
I think, yeah.
Yeah, and Andrew has been kind of coordinating their visits with Pete Lawson. Their specific thing, STV, they're architects and engineers. So the things they're looking at, they kind of want to get a general sense of the condition of the school, configuration of the school, capacity strain, if that exists. But they have not yet been to Morocco. They're going to be there soon. So our plan is we're going to take the 2020 Flansburgh Capital Needs Report that some of you may remember. This was a report that Flansburgh put together after we were invited into eligibility on Lynch. That was 2019. So since we clearly had a project with Lynch and not with Morocco, we kind of pivoted to say, well, what does Morocco really need in the short term? So that report was the very basis of what became the Morocco Life Extension Plan. So that was the new boilers, it was the roof repair, it was the electrical work, and a few small things. But deliberately, we left a lot of stuff out of that because the goal is really to either get a new school or a substantially renovated school by 2028 or 2030. So I feel like that report does a good job of describing the condition of the school in 2020 and articulates why we made the investments we did. So our plan is to kind of put together sort of a dog and pony show for STV around Morocco when they visit in a few days, which I think will tee up the MSBA well for the statement of interest when that gets submitted sometime between like February and March.
Okay.
That's it.
Questions for Chris? None. All right.
Yeah,
So
quick-
meeting minutes, go
Awesome.
ahead, Geetha.
I just had a quick, I guess the master plan, Chris, I guess right now what's being done is the enrollment projections. I guess the in terms of bringing in the designer, that's down the road, right, to do the master plan.
Yep, that's the next step. We actually have a draft RFP for that, Geeta, and we wanted to be able to say with certainty kind of what that deliverable looks like. Obviously, the enrollment, the demographic projections are going to be a key part of that. But yeah, we have call it like a 95% draft RFP for the architectural piece. Nobody on board yet, but yeah, so this is the phase one work. And then the architectural designers would be the phase two, and that would include facilities assessments and looking at enrollment projections, capacity, and so forth.
All right. The other item you mentioned, the school survey underway. So I'm just curious, the order in which they pick the school is just up to the STV to come up with considering there was a statement of interest submitted, for Morocco, I was just wondering why that school wasn't picked as one of the first one to visit.
I want Frank to add if I say something, I misrepresent this. So this is a statewide survey that they do. It's sort of it's agnostic, or it's blind to whether districts have actually submitted statements of interest. I'm told by sort of luck of the draw, Winchester is one of the first districts that STV is evaluating. So, but they bring a team, and they don't just sort of show up unannounced. So I think Andrew has been working with our principals to figure out, and obviously like McCall Middle School takes a lot of, I think they spent a day at McCall. I don't know that there was anything else they could look at. Maybe they've seen one elementary school, but it's multiple days for them to come out here and look at everything. And they had originally suggested, I think they wanted to come look at Morocco, might have been the day that UMass was going to be here. So that just didn't work out. So and then there was Thanksgiving, right? So they're going to be here really soon. to look
Yeah.
at Morocco, but they're going to look at Medford, they're going to look at Lexington, they're going to literally every district. That's my understanding. And they kind of just update a database. So then the MSBA has that as a resource of material when districts like us turn around and actually submit statements of interest. But it's interesting and in my mind helpful that the timing works out this way, because as you know, our plan is in fact to submit another SOI. So we just want to try to take advantage of the fact that STV is going to be here and really hammer all the points home we need to on Morocco.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Okay, next meeting, so the 16th is okay, but Emily made a good point that the 20th is probably a holiday for the town. Meg, do you have that calendar? Do you have a town calendar available?
Yeah, the 20th is definitely a holiday, so maybe we meet the 6th and the 13th.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah,
That's
it's President's Day or something like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
So no school, no town offices are closed, schools are closed.
it showed up on my calendar as Inauguration Day, but it's also MLK. It's two big things. So were you suggesting Jay 6th and 13th?
that's what Meg just said. I think that works, because if we push it off, then we're meeting the next week right afterwards.
Yeah.
It would just be it would be a high school update anyways. It would be the second meeting.
Yeah.
So,
Okay.
Yeah, so if there's nothing much, we could always just
You-
cancel it. but-
exactly. Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Thank you, Emily, for pointing that out. Anything else? Covered a lot tonight.
We're early. Happy to make a motion to adjourn. 6:58.
Thank you,
Second.
Chris.
I'll second it.
A lot of seconds.
Pick
one.
It was a good
Gotta fight
meeting,
for it.
guys.
For the next meeting, so.
What's that,
going
Keitha?
to New- I'll be
Yes.
away for the next meeting. I seconded, but I'll be
Okay.
going to New Zealand, so
Oh,
Oh,
have a good trip.
have a great time.
thank you.
All right, we'll get a roll call. Frank,
Aye.
Lisa,
Yes.
Brendan,
Aye.
Todd,
Aye.
Keitha,
Aye.
John,
Yes.
Colleen,
Aye.
Mark,
Aye.
Richard,
Yes.
Don,
Yes.
and Emily.
Yes.
Okay, have a great night, everyone.
Good night,
Thank you.
everybody.
Good night, all.